are the linesmen. The Soviets will start their big line from Moscow Dynamo of Alexander Semak, Sergei Svetlov, and Nikolai Borchevsky, with Michalchuk and Popichin on defense. The Czechs start their captain Ladislav Kami's line as Svetlov takes the shot, gets another one, he scores! Sergei Svetlov, 17 seconds into the game, has the Soviets outrun.
Well, I don't know how many times we said in Friday night's game against the Canadian Olympic team that Svetlov could almost do it all whenever he wanted to. It didn't take him long to decide he wanted to do it all in today's game. Right from the slot, he just gets a good wrist shot off. And that beat cleanly Bryza.
17 seconds in, Svetlov's fourth goal of this tournament. He has been far and away the best player on the ice throughout the tournament. He's 27 years old, a national team member who's in a bit of disgrace lately because he hasn't been playing so well at home. There's a bouncing shot from the point that got through, and Červякov made a save. Borchevsky gets the only assist on the goal by Svetlov at 17 seconds.
Well, I think that Svetlov will be hoping that his performance in this tournament will earn him a better position when he goes back to the Soviet Union, and he's hoping that Vassiliev will, in fact, pass those words on to Tikhonov.
Joseph Reznicek got the shot from the point, and that was blocked. The puck lies loose in the corner. Maglin with a shot. Albert Maglin, and Peter Bryza holds on and stops the play. You'll notice a few different rules in this game. It's international rules. There's Ivan Halinkin, former Vancouver Canuck, the coach of the Czechoslovakian team. He coaches Litvinov in the Czechoslovakian First Division. His team is 7th out of 12 teams.
And Roger, Ivan's made a few changes in today's game just to throw a little bit different lineup at the Soviets.
V'Shiryaев from the point takes the shot, and Bryza, way out of his net, makes the save and holds on again.
We were talking to Ivan last night, and we said, come on, Ivan, put a checking line on that line of C-Max. I mean, they're too good. He said, oh, that's very hard to do. And I think what he was trying to say was they're not quite in the same class, and he wants to get some of his better players out more.
Looks like he'll be double shifting Yuri Latal, who's number 4, playing on the defense right now. He's his best defenseman. Here's Osipov with a shot. Bryza makes another save, and the Soviets own the puck early. This is the final game of the Saskatchewan, and then beat Canada to eliminate Team Canada. As Peter Bryza holds on to the puck once again, it stops the play next to the Czechoslovakian net.
The Soviets seem to be testing Bryza very early in this game, and that perhaps was a strategy employed by Vassiliev with his hockey club. They came out shooting, and they're not even shooting from great angles.
Robert Krohn is number 29. He gets a hold of the puck for the Czechs, and they'll start out of their own zone. A minute and a half into the first period, 1-0 for the Soviets, and Sergei Svetlov scores. Fedotov, back in his own zone, moves the puck up to Maslennikov. Monaenkov followed up and then lost the puck at the blue line. Tried to move the puck out. It was blocked by Fedotov and brought back in offside by the Soviets. With almost 2 minutes gone in the first period. Not a great pace to start this game. You would expect like a 2-hour and 5-minute game when these two teams get at it, but it might be in the Czechs' best interest to slow it down a bit. Just as it was in Canada's best interest to try and keep the Soviets from getting up ahead of steam.
Well, without question, on Friday night's game, Canada definitely tried to slow the pace of the game down in their own end zone. And as Dave King knew so well, if the Soviets ever got the lead, it could be scary. It was scary.
Deep in his own zone, Oleg Michalchuk is checked, and Nikolai Borchevsky comes back to get the puck. Borchevsky lost the puck in front of the net. Lubina couldn't quite bounce on it. Borchevsky picks up the puck again. To Michalchuk. Lubina checked him once again. Now Svetlov regroups in his own zone. Evgeny Popichin. Up to Borchevsky and over to Michalchuk. Alexander Semak, member of the national team in other tournaments, most notably last year's Canada Cup. Yuri Letal is number 4, double shifting on the Czechoslovakian defense, and he moves the puck out to center. Lubina in after the puck, and that'll be offside. 17:08 to play in the first period. Let's go to Roger, the telestrator.
Well, look and see how they're defending through the neutral zone. Here are the Russian circles. They're two forwards. They don't care about the wide side. They're staying right in the middle. If the pass is made, then the defensemen just go wide. Let that go now. You'll see the forwards stay right in the middle. Good play in the neutral zone by the Russians. A little bit different.
Yuri Hilinka, no relation to Coach Ivan, is a 22-year-old, number 15 for the Czechs, who moved the puck in and then lost it. Reznicek from the point took a shot, tipped, they score! Number 24, Pavel Gross, tipped the puck in, and it's a 1-1 tie.
Well, watch to the right of your screen. When Reznicek gets possession of the puck, he's just going to throw it towards the Soviet netminder. He does exactly that. And you can see the deflection in front. Chervakov was beat, but he was beat on a deflection.
So Pavel Gross, who hasn't played much in this tournament, one of the additions to Ivan Hilinka's lineup today, got the deflection. Reznicek took the shot from the point at 3:06 to tie the game 1-1. Matitsin kept the puck in for Kovalev, number 15 of the Soviets, trying to send it to Osipov, and he can't get it out front. Long shot in by Yaroslav Letal. Here's Osipov for the Soviets. The centering pass. Ye.Repin couldn't get to it. He was covered. Ye.Repin, the oldest player on the Czechoslovakian team, at 29 years old, is number 16. Couldn't move the puck out. He may get the penalty, though. There was a trip as Kovalev was taken down, and there'll be a penalty against the Czechoslovakians. We'll be back with the Soviet power play in just a moment.
Well, this will give the Czechs their opportunity, or I should say the Soviets, an opportunity on the power play. Here you can see the penalty. Not much question about it.
Roman Maisley took the penalty, goes for tripping at 3:50, so the Soviets go to the power play in a 1-1 tie. Saskatchewan place. Pavlov in after the puck. The centering pass gets to the point. Fedotov took the shot, and Yaroslav Howard got the loose puck and set it down the ice. Soviets are using a set line as they usually do. They have 4 groups of 5, both of these teams do, and so far they haven't wavered at all from just putting out the next unit. So they've matched up the same all the way through this game so far. G.Titov into the corner. Maslenikov, number 12. Pavlov screening in front of the net. They're trying to get the puck back to the point. The Czechs trying to clear and can't. Fedotov with the screen set up. Monaenkov, number 2, back to Fedotov. A minute gone and a penalty. Another penalty coming up as the puck is tipped right on Friesen. Be a high sticking call.
And the Czechs were really doing a job of clearing the Soviets out in front of the net, and it finally cost them a penalty.
It's Brajna going to the penalty box. Pavel Gross was working, or Pavlov rather, was working in front of the net, getting worked over.
Well, watch right in the middle of your screen. Now, that's where Brajna gets the penalty. For a moment there, though, I wasn't sure whether or not the referee was going to give an interference penalty to the Soviets, or whether or not he was going to send the Czechs to the penalty box one more time. And obviously, as you see, Brajna is in the penalty box.
Well, they were as tough in front of the net as any NHL defense. They were just hacking them down. It was just a matter of time before it caught the referee's eye.
Well, a 2-man advantage is just what the doctor ordered for players like Svetlov, A.Семак, and Борщевский are on the ice now. You should see a good example of puck control here with Popykin and Mikkelchik. The Soviet big line, if you will, is on the ice with a 2-man advantage. The shot wide of the net. Friesen was way out of his net, cutting down the angle. Borchevsky's working in front of the net. Popykin over to Svetlov. Now Popykin shoots it. Deflected just wide. A.Semac's after the puck. Borchevsky's getting worked over in front now. He's the Soviet trying to work in front of the net. Now he's loose. takes the pass, took the shot, but he had to kick it up to his stick, and that gave the Czechs time to deflect it.
They'll work it to Popihkin in the middle of that blue line as much as they possibly can, and he's not afraid to shoot that puck. He likes to set up, he likes to get that shot away low and hard, and he's looking for the deflection in front of the net. Svetloff, even though he positions himself off to the left of Riza, he will always put it back to Popihkin. And Popihkin won't necessarily aim for the net. He will aim for his teammate and try to get a deflection.
The Czechs are using the inverted triangle, and they did it quite well that time.
Popihkin again shoots a screen shot.
That worked.
And C-Mac scored on a rebound. A two-man advantage, so one penalty will end, but the Soviets will still be on the power play.
Watch Popihkin. He sees C-Mac over to the side, and it's really tough on Briza because Briza doesn't know whether or not to play the shooter or whether or not to play the guy to his right. And it's really a guessing game because Popihkin's not afraid to shoot right on net either, but if you went with the odds on the power play up to that point in time, I think Briza should have taken C-Mac to his right.
An unfortunate deflection off the stick of the Czech defender right to C-Mac. And a New Jersey draft pick in '88. Played in the Canada Cup last year. Alexander C-Mac puts the Soviets up by 1, and they're still on a power play here. Here's Nikitin, number 24, the point man. A one-man advantage now for the Soviets. Albert Malgin. The side of the net. Kvartalnov to Nikitin. Nikitin. Screen is set up in front. Kvartalnov. Fed at the side of the net, and the puck bounced away from Basalgin. That was a nice play. Didn't quite work. Malgin. Basalgin takes the shot. Deflected. Briza holds on with 35 seconds left in the penalty. That looked like a North American power play. The way the guys are hacking at each other in front of the net, moving the puck around, trying to create the screen for the shot.
And they really pass the puck so well, Jim, that it is really a treat to see. And watch this pass right here. Right across the box, and there were 3 players, but yet he got that puck through to the man he wanted to. Unfortunately, it kind of took a hop there.
One thing we must realize, too, is that these two teams were just thrown together. They really had no practices. They're just an all-star team put together for the tournament, so they might not be quite the passing plays that the national team would have.
Shiryayev took a shot. He's the best offensive defenseman of the Soviets. Number 5 was second to Fetisov in scoring in the Soviet Elite League last year. Shot from the point is blocked in front as the Soviets set up the screen again with 15 seconds left in the penalty. But even though this team is thrown together, the Soviets, at any rate, have tried to bring lines in units from different teams, so that helps in being able to move the puck around and know each other. They've got a Dynamo line from Moscow. They've got a Kimmich line. They've got an Obelisc line. Yes, that is a team. Here's Kovalev. The drop pass right in front. They score! Kovalev got the pass back to the side of the net, and the Soviets lead by 2. That's an even strength goal. The power play was over.
Well, watch Kovalev. He will end up being over to the left of your screen. There it is. It's a 2-on-1. The Czech defender falls, and that makes it easy for Kovalev, who is on his forehand side. Watch again, and watch Kovalev. You see where he positions himself? He goes for the post, but he's on his forehand side. He's a right-hand shooter. He's over on the left-hand side, and when he gets that pass, even though the Czech defender had him tied up, he didn't have his stick tied up, and that's what did the damage.
The defenseman Matitsin had moved up on the play to work the give and go with Kovalev, and the Soviets have a 3-1 lead. That penalty had just expired, so it is not a power play goal. Kovalev is one of the leading scorers, in fact, is 7th in Elite League scoring in the Soviet Union, and he has one here. Shiryayev and Matitsin draw assists on Kovalev's goal. 7:04, the time of the goal. Czechs are in a hole. Kamey centering pass. There's the shot to score, and they're getting right out of the hole in a hurry. On a pass from Vladislav Kamey gets the goal.
Well, Kamey sets it up right here. He won the battle along the boards, but there you can see 2 Soviet players in front. Now, one of them had Kemp. Now watch, when Kemp gets the puck, he just takes a sweep at it and puts it over on the far side. And really, Červякov hasn't looked sharp. There was no way he should have given him that much room. Not on the glove side.
He's hanging onto the post. He gave him far too much room.
He was tight as could be.
Červякov is the Soviet goaltender, so it'll be Radek Kemp getting the goal from Kamies at 7:37. And maybe we're going to get a great 12-10 hockey game here today. It's 3-2. The Soviets, the home team dressed in their whites, leading the Czechs. An offside call against the Soviets with 12:09 to go in the first period. And we'll be back at Saskatchewan Place with more Saskatchewan Cup final right after this. Yuri Littell also drew an assist on the goal by Radek Kemp from Kamies at 7:37. That's the second Czechoslovakian goal. For those of you in a pool who have some of these guys, if we want to know who got the assists.
Kidding me, Huey.
If I'm making up all these names, do you think anybody knows?
Well, is he going to call them all Svetlov today?
We were going to call all the Soviets Svetlov and all the Czechoslovakians Slubina.
And see how long it took you folks at home to notice.
Make it an easy day for me. 3-2, the Soviets lead. But seriously, some of these names you'll hear a lot when the Olympics come up in a few years, because they're 21, 22-year-old players who figure to be in the national teams of Czechoslovakia and the Soviet Union in the years to come.
Exactly, Jim. And just remember that in 1992 and 94, you're going to see the Winter Olympics this year.
Absolutely,
or those
because
years.
They're switching over so that the Olympics aren't, the Summer and Winter Olympics aren't in the same year, so there'll be 2 Olympics in 92 and 94. And what they're worried about in the Soviet Union and Czechoslovakia, and I suppose we should be in Canada, although we don't seem to take the Olympic teams as seriously, is that the players on the national teams now will be too old for 94, and that's why they put these Olympic teams together. Soviets coming out of their own zone. Kvartalnov is number 18. Vostrakov number 10, and he couldn't hang on to the puck. They play on a line with Albert Malgin. This is a line from Kimmich in the elite division. Malgin's drop pass, Vostrikov's shot. Peter Briza holds on, and there's the shot in the corner. Vostrikov and Resnishek banged each other. Vostrikov lost his helmet.
Both of these hockey clubs out here would be good teams in the National Hockey League. And Roger, you mentioned the other night about this Soviet team and where they might stand if they were to play in the NHL.
Well, this team is supposed to be better than Dynamo Riga, and Dynamo Riga won a game the other night in L.A.
5-2 last night.
5-2, and so we're looking at teams that are probably better than middle-of-the-road NHL teams. Now, how they stand up under 80 games, of course, we don't know, but skill-wise, that's where they are.
They really are so different from NHL teams, though, and I mean, look at one of these teams and try and find a checking line or try and find the tough guy. We have so many role players in North America that fit into, well, the coach's game plan, if you will, but all of these guys are alike.
We might have to forget the goons.
Yeah.
They're alike in the way that they're skilled, and they can skate, they can pass, they can shoot. And that's a lot of reason, too, why both coaches tend to go with those 5-man units and roll them. They're not looking at, as Vasiliev isn't, looking to match against any particular combination that his counterpart, Ivan Hlinka, might send out.
But I wonder what he'd do if he had a couple of Bob Proberts that he could play. Do you think they'd play them?
He'd be in Siberia
on the rock pile.
Out of all that pushing and shoving, you saw A.Basалgin go to the penalty box, so the Czechoslovakians have a power play here. Serious slashing call.
In seriousness, though, Jim, I think that they would probably like a Probert because they want to be more aggressive in their program, and Probert has got good hands.
You bet.
But he'd have to be able to kill penalties and do the power play, do everything. They want the all-round player, and that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, they don't have guys that sit on the bench most of the night and then come on just for one shift to fight somebody or play that role. Czechs trailing 3-2 and on the power play. Yarabek had to retreat to get the puck. Brajda. Thomas Sershin, an Edmonton Oiler draft pick. Bolchik, number 3, to the blue line, and the puck is dumped in by Howard. Fedotov.
Oh, pretty good run from the point.
He just barely got a piece of him, though. That was Brajda that came in to take his man.
That's pinching.
20 seconds left in the Soviet penalty to Basalgin. Howard can't get loose with the puck. Crone couldn't get to it. Ivan Bolchik comes back for the puck. 5 seconds left in the penalty. The Czechs have done nothing on this power play. Basalgin's back on the ice. The teams are at even strength. Korchinski stole the puck. He's going around the towel. He shoots it. They score! Frieza got a piece of it, but Korchinski's shot went into the net. And the Soviets lead 4-2.
Well, Frieza hasn't looked sharp either for the Czechs in this game. Borshevsky, once he gets possession of the puck, he just walks right around the Czech defender. And a shot on net that ends up being a goal. Frieza really fumbled it, but you could see that Borshevsky was able to get around Lathal, but Lathal never assumed that his goaltender, Frieza, would give up a goal, not from that angle.
What great acceleration by Borshevsky. Once he got that puck at center ice, in 3 or 4 strides, and he's right by the defense.
Quick little strides, and he's gone.
An icing call against the Czechs now. They're once again down by 2 goals. An unassisted goal by Nikolai Borshevsky, his first of the tournament, at 11:20. We haven't seen great goaltending in this game. In fact, haven't seen great goaltending except for Frieza from the Czechs or the Soviets in this tournament. I wonder if it's just the same old story. I wonder why these teams can't come up with great goaltenders. There's a few around, but they don't seem to consistently have good goaltending.
I think a lot of it has to do with the way they practice. They deke so much, they pass so much. They try to come up with great goals, pretty goals, and I don't think their goaltenders face an awful lot of great shots in practice.
Sergei Svetlov crisscrosses, leaves the puck for Borshevsky to Alexander Semak. The centering pass went off his skate. Popika takes the shot and whistles one just wide. 8 minutes to go in the first period. The Soviets are up 4-2. Ladislav Lubina with a shot, and Chervakov makes the save. Frieza out to play the puck. The Soviets are changing on the fly. Kamis tried to center and couldn't get the puck out front. Here's Rudolf Reznishev, whose last name translated means butcher. Hope that's not indicative of the way he's about to play. Bartalva, number 18, with Vostrakov and Malgin. Shot from the point is blocked, and pouncing on the puck, literally, was Peter Frieza.
Frieza wasn't going to take any chances in front of that net.
You think about the Czechs, and they have Hasek, who's a great goaltender. Schindell's pretty good, and there's a little stick work in the neutral zone.
Sure is, and they aren't adverse to using it either, are they? Sticks are up high, a little bit of hooking there, a little bit of jabbing. That's their form of aggressiveness.
That's why they use those great hooks on the end of their stick trainer to pull the guy in so they can give him a shot.
Yeah, the meat hooks.
Take a look at their stick racks, and they have the oddest collection of weapons in there that you'll ever see. Czechs are breaking out, led by Zemlichka, number 17. They're 3-on-1. The centering pass didn't get through, and Chervakov jumps on the puck. And now some more high sticking. Malgin, number 30 for the Soviets, has been in the middle of a lot of that so far in this game.
Malgin is very eager to, in fact, show off as well. He's got great goal-scoring abilities, but he has been put down to the first division. He wants to get back up into the elite division in the Soviet Union. And this tournament is going to be, he hopes, his form of being able to get back to that elite league.
Number 9 for the Soviets, over the blue line to Kovalev, intercepted by the Czechs, and back they come. Yaroslav Letal dumps the puck in. Roman Maislik in forechecking, getting some help from Yerevek. The puck comes out front. Picked out by Andrei Matitsin, and at the center to Ye.Repyshyn. In over the blue line, Osipov, number 23, with Kovalev. Kovalev has it. Defense breaking in for the front of the goal, and Kovalev couldn't get Matitsin the puck. 6:20 to go in the first period. 4-2 the Soviets lead. Shiryayev, number 5, takes the shot. Just missed. He wanted that to be deflected at the side of the net. Kovalev deflects one of the end boards. Osipov to Kovalev. Checked by Yaroslav Letal. The Czechs just chipped the puck to the blue line and out. Now they'll change on the fly.
When you think of it, both of these teams use that man off the side of the post. And a deflection is almost more difficult to stop for a goaltender than a screen is. So often in North American hockey, we look for the screen to be set up in front. Not as often the deflection on either side.
Hey, there was a good hit. I.Monaenkov hit Brajda, and he's sent him to the bench. Buckled over. That was a good, solid, clean hit by Shiryayev on Peter Brajda.
Well, remember, Brajda was the one back on the point that took a pretty good run on the power play at the left winger for the Soviets.
Yep.
Maybe a little retaliation.
Pavlov with some room takes the shot. Nice save by Peter Brajda. And he'll stop the play with 5 minutes and 10 seconds to play in the first period. The Soviets, looking for the championship in the inaugural Saskatchewan Cup, have a 2-goal lead. Welcome back to Saskatchewan Place. I'm Jim Hewson with Gary Green, Roger Nielsen, Jim Van Horn. Happy New Year. Start off 1989 in Saskatchewan with this inaugural tournament. We'll have some NHL action for you tomorrow on the 2nd day of January with Edmonton and Minnesota. The Czechs and the Soviets bang on the boards and hold the puck long enough for a face-off. Players of the game during the Saskatchewan Cup received the compact cannon sure shot. Multi-players in the game was Vladislav Kamis, and before the game he was standing out on the ice here, and he was having pictures taken. He was having the trainer take his picture with his camera that he won the other night. Some of the other guys were taking their helmets off for the Czechoslovakian team and getting their picture taken with the sure shot on the ice.
Well, it must have come with film because they don't have any money to buy any film here, that's for sure.
Yuri Letal into the middle. There's a shot just over the net by Vladislav Kamis, the captain of the Czech team. Kamis, number 20. Passes it off to Lupina. He's checked, and Svetlov comes up with the puck. Svetlov, rink wide for Alexander Semak. Looking for Svetlov, racing down the right wing. Smoothly cuts to the front of the net. The pass. They score. Borchevsky broke in from the left side in a smooth skating fast line of the Soviet Union from Moscow Dynamo. Strikes again. It's 5-2 Soviets.
They didn't even appear as though they were putting any pressure on themselves. Watch the way that Svetlov goes in. He's just waltzing in. He goes to his backhand, and there's Borchevsky ready to just slam it right by the Czech goaltender Brisa. Watch, Svetlov, he may have lost the puck a little bit there, and that's why he kind of hesitated. But nevertheless, he didn't do it at great speed. He didn't have to. They came up with the same result.
Svetlov's got a goal and an assist. Borchevsky's got a couple of goals. In fact, this line has accounted for 4 of the 5 goals for the Soviets so far.
I don't think this Soviet team has given up on Borchevsky. At 16, he was rated one of the top 3 prospects in all of the Soviet Union, and he has never made the national team.
Now it's 6-2. Kvartalnov put the puck in the net. He was all alone in front of it, and the Soviets are up by 4.
Well, it's quickly becoming a rout. All alone in front of the net. That just should never have happened, and Ivan Halenka is going to have some words defensively with his hockey club. Maybe they're standing up trying to gamble a little bit too much, but you know when that happens, as Dave King knew would happen on Friday night's game against the Soviet team, they will pick you apart.
Dmitry Kvartalnov gets the goal from S.Вострикov at 16:01, 20 seconds after Borchevsky's second goal from Svetlov and Semak. And the score is 6-2 for the Soviets in a rout, and Ivan Halenka is going to change goaltenders. He's pulled Peter Brisa, and he'll go to Ulrich Svoboda. No relation to Peter.
Pretty tough for Svoboda to come in at this point in time, even though it's early in the game when you're down by 4 goals. And Ivan Halinka is pretty upset at the play, I think, of his goaltender.
Well, the rest of the team hasn't exactly helped him out a great deal. Malgin also drew an assist on the Kvartalnov goal, the last one from Vostrakov. Malgin at 16:01, 6-2 for the Soviets late in the first period. Ye-Repyshyn with a shot. V'Shiryaев took his man. He's thrown a couple of hits in this game now. V'Shiryaев is number 5, the Soviet defenseman. Left the puck for his partner. A.Matыцin. Here's Ye-Repyshyn at center. V'Shiryaев rushing up the left wing, takes the shot. Svoboda makes the save. Kovalev in after the puck, in traffic. And he can't come up with it. Osipov in front. Kovalev got a shot away. And the Czechs clear the puck down the ice. They're really on the ropes. They're down 6-2, and the Soviets could easily add a lot more the way the Czechs are playing.
Well, exactly. What do you do if you're Ivan Halinka right now?
Suit up.
Maybe not a bad idea.
Titov took a shot for the front of the net. Svoboda pounced on it with 2:25 left in the first period.
And that last breakout one was behind the Soviet net. They had one guy at the far blue line and one guy over center. So they actually had another man outside the blue line. They had all 3 forwards outside the blue line in the neutral zone.
I think it'd make the relay up the ice in about a second and a half.
And that's what's going to make it very difficult for Svoboda, the Czech goaltender who has come in to relieve Bryza, is because when the Czechs are now going to try to play a catch-up game, the Soviets are going to take the pressure off their own end zone and the forechecking by the Czechs and simply lay those forwards out way high in the neutralized area, in behind the Czech defense. You're going to probably see a lot of breakaways.
I think by the looks of things, the Czechs would have rather stayed at the hotel and played on the water slide.
They were having a great time there.
They'd never been on one. In the western of Canada, there's water slides everywhere as they go outside, and these guys found the water slide. And well, I noticed that Rudolf Sukanek is not in the lineup today, and I was thinking,
you're funny, Roger.
These guys loved it.
So did Roger.
I think you should do a book, Roger, rating water slides around the West. Last 2 minutes of the first period from Saskatoon, a 6-2 lead for the Soviets.
Well, these two teams aren't without body checks as well, either accidental or on purpose. They can throw the bodies out, and both of these clubs in the last 10 years have become far more aggressive than they were in their earlier years of international play.
I'm sure a lot of that has to do with the younger players playing more against North America. There's far more tournaments now. There's far more North American influence in their hockey than there ever used to be.
And the Soviets love the NHL. You can be sure that all the Soviet Union was watching last night as that game from L.A. went all the way back, even though it was 4 a.m. in the morning in Soviet Union.
Minute and a half to go in the first period. I'd like to be a fly on the wall in the Czech dressing room to see what Ivan Halinka has to say. Might not understand it, but I mean, I have an interpreter with me. I think he's going to be a little steamed, a whole lot steamed. Coming up in our first intermission, Dr. Ian McDonald, the chairman of Hockey Canada, will be along, and here's some pushing and shoving and some fists thrown at the bench. Wow.
Well, you could see that coming. Tempos were getting up.
Take number 7 first and then the original 2.
We have a mic on the referee.
Let's go.
Jaron Lawrence.
The original 2.
Well, the tempers have been blaring a little bit here, but it has been more of high sticks than anything that have caused each team to get upset with the other. Sticks have been hanging very high in today's game so far, and now the tempers are going to take over.
Red and 8 white.
Watch how it starts, folks. Right in front of the Czech bench. That dangerous place. There's the initial hit that was thrown by Gross, and then the retaliation, and here comes the Soviets then. Semak came right in there. Looked like a bunch of bumper cars out there.
Hey, Svetlov threw a pretty good left at Yuri Halinka.
There's the left.
Oh, there's the puts the sleeper on it.
Put him in a heck lock. Oh, the Svetlov sleeper. Good.
Zemlichka's going to the penalty box. So is Michalchik. Michalchik of the Soviets, Zemlichka of the Czechs. And Borshevsky of the Soviets is going to the penalty box as well.
7 and 8.
That was a vicious little melee. It wasn't just your run-of-the-mill along the boards. There were sticks going, butt-ins. There was everything going.
One of the things about these guys is that they never drop their sticks and gloves. Those sticks always stay up in the air and in somebody's face, and that's really dangerous.
Looked like there was a couple of Tiger Williamses on the bench there.
Son, coming up. Wait. No. 2-1. 2 to you guys, 1 there.
Think Sergei understood that?
I don't think so.
18:50, the time of these penalties. There's mentioning in our first intermission, Dr. Ian McDonald of Hockey Canada will be along to talk to Jim Van Horn, and we'll have a feature on the actual Saskatchewan Cup trophy. A beautiful carving from Joe Pafard of Regina, and I'm sure you'll find that interesting.
Well, maybe Ivan Halenka knew something, because when I suggested before the game or last night that he do some matching, he said no, he couldn't do that. And the Semak line has played almost half the period. They haven't been going in their regular four block rotation, so it looks like the Soviets really want to win this game.
And that line has 4 of the 6 goals. Yerabek to Yaroslav Littell. Over to Yuri Littell, his younger brother. Yaroslav with the screen set up, takes the shot. That was blocked. The Czechs, as you can see, have a 1-man advantage. 4 skaters against 3. Borchevsky and Michalchik got minor penalties for the Soviets. Zemlichka got the lone minor penalty for the Czechs. Radek Kemp is down on the ice after being hit at center. Now he struggles to the bench. Albert Malgin moves up for the Soviets, takes a weak shot, stopped by Svoboda. This game is really getting tough, and that'll make for an interesting second and third period.
Kemp practically crawled to the bench, and yet when he went to the Czech bench, there's not even a trainer in sight that's going to come over and help him out.
You're all on your own, buddy boy.
That's right. You take those body checks, and you just recover on your own. There you see Kemp just sitting on the bench, leaning over, trying to get his wind back.
I think that's exactly what happened to him. He got the wind knocked out of him. Seconds left in the period. Penalties then will carry over into the second. Czechs are 0 for 1 with a man advantage. And there's the buzzer sound the end of the first period, with the Soviets leading in around 6-2, but it's the line of Borchevsky, Semak, and Svetlov with 4 goals that's done all the damage.
I think the second period could get pretty ugly, because I think the Czechs, knowing their pride, they're going to come out and they're going to play a real tough, aggressive second period.
Like a prairie hockey game.
Yeah, it could well be.
Good old Western League matchup coming up. The Soviets and the Czechs, and the Soviets lead by 4. Stand by for Jim Van Horn and Dr. Ian McDonald of Hockey Canada when we come back to Saskatchewan Place.
So, Raj, I was protecting you. I was kind of standing off in the background there.
Thanks, Grader.
I was your own personal KGB man, Raj.
Who paid for the drinks?
Who did, Raj?
It wasn't me, that's for sure.
So the second period is underway with the Soviets leading 6-2, and the Czechs on a power play for 31 seconds after that skirmish on the boards in front of the Czechoslovakian bench. Yuri Letal is number 4. Over to his brother Yaroslav as this 4-man power play works the puck around at the side of the net. They just failed to tip it in front. That was Robert Krohn in front of the net, and he couldn't tip the pass. Now back on the point. Letal takes the drive. The puck is loose in front and cleared away by the Soviet defenseman Fedotov. Just 5 seconds now left in the penalties. Borshevsky and Michalczyk will come back for the Soviets. Zemlichka's back on for the Czechs. And the teams are at even and full strength here again. Pavel Gross spins on the boards and goes down. Albert Malgin for the Soviets in over the blue line is checked. Yuri Hlinka takes a shot and the puck is deflected out, up and out of play. It's a pleasure now to welcome into our broadcast booth Dave King, the general manager and coach.
Goals were plays that normally they pick up people off the puck pretty well. They didn't, and the Soviets are very sharp. It's kind of a clinic for us today, Jim.
It's interesting, isn't it, that while they sent an awful lot of young players, they did send that one great line, and they got 4 of the goals and 8 points in the first period. Svetlov, Borchevsky, and S.Semak. They're a great line.
They're a great line. They play for Moscow Dynamo, and they're an excellent line. Borchevsky is an odd player, but he's a very effective player. He was an all-star at the World Juniors, so they've got a good line.
Zemlichka took a shot, and Chervakov made the save and dropped the puck. Basalgin put the puck around on the boards. Malgin can't come up with it. The Czechs have the puck. Reznicek gets the return pass from Sudek. And with 2 minutes gone in the second period, dumps the puck in. Basalgin is the first man back. At center ice, Albert Malgin. Double teamed by the Czechs, and they dump the puck in. And Chervakov, who likes to come out of his net, comes up and plays the puck. Osipov up the boards, and the Czechs take over. Schultz plays the puck to Volchek, and back to Radek Schultz. Great sharp-angled shot is kicked out by Chervakov. Schultz makes a great defensive last stand and got a little lucky at his own blue line, or the Soviets' Kovalev would have been in alone. There's an icing call against the Czechoslovakians.
David, were you a little surprised today that Vasiliev decided to go with Chervakov instead of Zuev?
I'm really surprised because Zuev's played 2 pretty good games, and this gentleman here played against us in Prince Albert in a pre-tournament game and was not sharp. This must be a strategy, Gary, to wake everybody up, play his second goalie, because the team has played sharp and they've been very alert in front of this fellow.
Plus, when he came in the other night, it was about 7 minutes to go in your game. He really didn't look sharp even then. Of course, that's difficult to come in at that point in time in a game.
I agree. I think that he's really not played all that well, and I'm wondering if that really was his tactics. In other words, just play them to wake everybody up and get them alert in front.
If indeed it was a tactic, it's worked pretty well.
I guess.
Czechoslovakia is wearing the red. They're down 6-2. Jarabek, the eldest player on the team, is in and is checked from behind by Ye.Repyshyn. Now Matitsin for the Soviets. Up the middle to Pavlov, and he's checked. Robert Krohn picks up the puck. Yaroslav Letal, number 5, with a long pass through center. Zemlichka was checked. Fedotov is back to pick up the puck. Fedotov was a defensive mate of maybe the toughest young Soviet player, at least the renowned Tatarinov, who has played in the '86 World Championships in Hamilton and really got a reputation for being a tough guy. Fedotov was his partner. He's number 25 on the Soviet defense. There's a steal in front of the net. And the Czechs can't capitalize.
Well, Fedotov really gave up the puck right in front. Very unusual for him.
Here's Maslenikov in with a shot. That was blocked by the goaltender Oldrich Svoboda. Backhand shot in front by Pavlov, and he can't get it by Svoboda.
Svetlov was jamming that puck right in the crease. You can see Svoboda is down. Now he's watching that puck behind the net. Now he decides it's time to get up. He's got his stick actually caught underneath of his own defenseman. So all he could do was lie down and try to cover as much of that goal as he possibly could.
That rush, too, is a perfect example of a Soviet crisscross with a pick. Put him in almost in the clear, and they're experts at picking.
Maslenikov is the man who got to the net and got the shot. Now the Semak, Borchevsky, Svetlov line is on the ice. You'll see a lot of these guys in the next few days. I guess you're going barnstorming, are you, Dave?
Yeah, we've got 4 games against this Soviet team at the conclusion of this tournament, so we'll see a lot of this line, and that's great. We're looking forward to playing with against this particular team in this line because they're a great line, and boy, when you play against a line like this, you got to be on your toes all the time defensively.
Racing after the puck is Kamies. It's 2-on-1, and he tried to center, and it didn't work. Roman Maislik was in front. We're almost 5 minutes into the second period. The Soviets had a 6-2 lead after the first, and that's the way it stands now. Alexander Semak to Borchevsky on the right wing, breaking in for the goal. Backhand shot is blocked by Svoboda, and he tried to poke the puck away and lost his stick. He'll get some help from his teammates to freeze the puck and stop the play. 15:05 left in the second period. 6-2 is the score for the Soviets. We'll take a short break and be right back from the Saskatchewan Cup in Saskatoon. Welcome back to Saskatchewan Place. It's a beautiful building, a great facility. 16,478 had watched the 3 games prior to this one in here, including a sellout for Canada against the Soviets 2 nights ago. And there's a decent crowd here today for these 2 teams. The Soviet Union leading Czechoslovakia 6-2. Thomas Kapusta is number 18 for the Czechoslovakians. Trying to get the puck to Yerebek. Now Yerebek intercepts a pass. Back on the point, here's Yuri Letal, number 4. Back on the point, Yerebek takes a shot into a crowd, and Chervakov saw it all the way and made the save. Yaroslav Letal kept the puck in for Czechoslovakia. Yuri takes the shot, kicked out by Chervakov, and the Soviets take control. Basalgin forced back in his own zone. Czechs are changing on the fly with 6 minutes gone in the second period. Up the middle, a pass for Ye.Repyshyn. Didn't connect, and Svoboda's way out of his net and holds on for a stop in play. This is Jim Hewson with Gary Green and Roger Nielsen in the broadcast booth. And Dave King, the GM and coach of Team Canada, has joined us. I didn't get a chance to talk to you after the game the other night. A 7-3 game. We thought that perhaps in the loss it wasn't that lopsided a game, but at one point when you're down and you have to win by 2 goals, opening it up cost you probably a more lopsided victory.
Yeah, we tried to open up and get back in it because we have to win by 2 in that game, and we got down a couple, and so we opened up a little and made some unforgiving mistakes, and the Soviets really capitalized. Jim, they're a great team, and you just have to play very tight hockey against them. It was too bad going into that game we had to win by 2. I think if it was a game we just have to win, we could have maybe approached it a little bit better.
So instead of Canada, it's the Soviets and the Czechs in the final, and here's Shiryaev, an offensive defenseman to Matitsin. His shot is stopped by Ulrich Svoboda. Kovalev trying to set up Ye.Repyshyn out in front. A backhand shot is blocked at the side of that. Osipov, number 23, got that one away. Now the Czechs get the puck. A pile up on the blue line, and the Soviets keep the puck in. Osipov right in front of the net. Kovalev is checked and then pushed into the goal. And these guys are really at each other. There's all sorts of...
They always go at it really hard, Jim. There's a lot of contact in this game today, and we had a little skirmish in front of the bench there in the first period. And the Czechs and the Soviets have historically had real good rivalry there, and they mix it up pretty well.
That looked more like a bowling match out there. I mean, they were going for their ankles. Dave, in all of the international play that you've been involved in, when these 2 teams either meet or you've met them, how often do they match lines? They seem to just roll them over, other than in today's game where the big line for the Soviets has played a lot more.
Yeah, they usually don't match lines, Gary, and I think it's a real weakness. I think the Czechs today, they almost have to approach this game from the point of view that they're going to look after that one line from Dynamo, and they haven't done it. And in the first period, that was the hockey game right there. it's not a common thing for them to think about matching lines very much. They turn the lines over a lot, and that's one of the weaknesses in their game, probably.
Is that because they feel that they don't get momentum going if they are, in fact, worried about line changes?
Very much so. I think they like to keep everybody in the game and keep everybody playing, and that's fine, but I think there are times when you really got to put your best against their best. You can't afford that mismatch, and in the first period, there's a couple of mismatches, and that Dynamo line is very effective, and they capitalize.
The Dynamo line got 8 points in the first period. 4 of the 6 goals came from that line, and you're right. It's probably the hockey game right there. The Soviets are up 6-2. And unless the Soviets take a nap, it's likely all over for the Czechs.
It's the kind of game, Jim, where I realize the score isn't going to provide with very much drama, but the technique and the skill is still a very predominant thing. I'm sure a viewer can appreciate a lot of the good hockey being played. It's too bad it wasn't a closer game. There's some good skill here.
The long shot whistled wide by the Czechs, and there's a penalty coming up on the play. It'll be against the Soviets, and the Czechs will get a power play opportunity. The goaltender's out for the extra attacker on the delayed penalty. There's a slashing call, and the Czechs will go to the power play when we come back to Saskatchewan Place with 11:56 to play in the second period. The Soviets leading 6-2.
Ends up getting a slashing penalty, and watch it just on the lower right of your screen, folks. There's the chop, and it's a pretty good one on Lathal, and as a result, the Soviets down one, and it gives the Czechs an opportunity on their power play to maybe, well, chop away and try to get one back.
Well, you never know, Greener, because there's the Soviets can be very, very good. Obviously we've seen that in today's game, but they can also fall asleep sometimes, and I've seen them build a lead, and then I've seen them squander it once in a while too. So the Czechs, if they get sharp on their power play and put it in, you never know. Maybe they make it a better game.
They'll move the puck in, but lose possession.
Jim, the Soviets are very, very aggressive on their penalty killing. They chase in all areas, and their theory really is, so the Soviets, their theory is like the Czechs, just put pressure on, and you got to beat that pressure. If you beat the pressure, you can sometimes get an unbelievable scoring chance. The key is you have to have the skills to beat the pressure. They just flood an area and just kind of shut off all the passing lanes, and if you do beat it, you've got a great chance. A little North American hockey here, though. They're playing 4 across, trying to hold the blue line, and it is interesting that they've learned and used some of the tactics we've got in North America here very, very well. In fact, in Europe now, a lot of teams are playing the 1-4, kind of a forecheck system, Gary, where they lay back, control the neutral zone, and it makes them more competitive against the Soviets.
Well, the Czechs haven't been able to gain the blue line once in this power play, and there's 47 seconds left in it.
Normally, Jim, when they come down like this and meet the 4 across, they'll back pass the puck a few times to disrupt your gap control, but they haven't done it here. They're just going right into the 4 acrosses, and that's what the Russians want. When you back pass the puck a little bit, it's hard for those guys to hold that line, and right now they're not doing it.
I was thinking if you could show replays constantly of the neutral zone between the red line and the offensive blue line, more often than not, you'd see one guy going against the flow of play.
Yeah,
you'd see one guy coming back, because they always have a guy, the lead man gets up and turns around.
That's a very good comment, Jim. You're right.
Well, there's a great picture of the neutralized play. There was an attempted hip check that didn't really work, but it could have been a good one had it.
Czech power play has been ineffective. Then they get the first chance on goal, and Červякov made the save, and then he looked like he wanted to give Radek Kemp a pretty good butt end in the net.
I think that's because Kemp gave him a stick over the head.
10 seconds to go with the penalty to Maslennikov. Checks up the middle once again. Stay onside, but then the puck is pushed out. The penalty is over. The Soviets are back at full strength. We've reached the halfway point in the second period with the Soviets out front 6-2.
Jim, the only other way you can beat that 4 across is you've got to hit the blue line with lots of speed on the attack, and then you try to go one-on-one against one of those defenders who hasn't got as much speed, and with good skill and technique, you can sometimes get the line that way. I've seen people like, Larionov and those kind of people hit that blue line 1 versus 4, and they'll get the line on you because they got lots of speed and good technique.
Do they ever shoot it in, Dave?
Yeah, they will shoot it in, but that certainly isn't their priority. And today, the Czechs refused to do that, Roger, in that power play, and therefore they didn't get possession once. I think sometimes the shoot-in with people breaking hard can be a very effective tactic to get them off that blue line a little bit.
The shoot-in is a play. It's almost like it's never in their playbook. They almost refuse to use it in any situation.
They do, Jim, because their rinks are so big over there. When you shoot it in, you know, you got a heck of a long way to go and get it.
Yeah.
And it really is a tough tactic over there.
Good point.
But the goalie can't stop it because he's got a long way to go back, too, to that big area behind the net.
That's a good point, Roger. They got sometimes, 11, 12 feet behind that net. It's a long way to go to stop that puck.
Here's a 2-on-1. Yeremik passes it back, flipped over the goal by Robert Krohn as Yeremik and Krohn got a 2-on-1 and failed to capitalize for the Czechs. Yeryomin for the Soviets blasts one into the glove of Ulrich Svoboda, and he holds on to stop the play with 8:59 remaining in the second period.
They've had some good chances here, Jim, the Czechs. They've had probably 3 chances in the last 4 or 5 minutes and haven't capitalized.
Well, here's the 2-on-1, Yeremik and Krohn. But for some reason, they really don't seem to have a great deal of intensity today. I mean, in that particular 2-on-1, it didn't seem as though they were driving for the net. It seemed as though they were almost hesitant.
You're right, Gary, and it became essentially the top of the circles in. It was a 2-on-2. The back checker picked up the free man, and they had nothing there. And their intensity, sometimes the Czechs are fragile. When the Soviets jumped to that quick lead, I was watching the game with Wayne Fleming. We both commented, because they're fragile and they can be discouraged very easily.
You mentioned that the other night in your game against the Czechs. You were hoping to get an early lead because they have got a fragile attitude.
There's no question, Gary, when you're playing against the Czechs, that's one team you really want to make sure if you can play in front of the score, it's a big, big advantage to you.
Whereas the Soviets, it doesn't seem to matter. They'll mount a comeback and certainly have the offense to do it.
Oh, yeah, Jim, they just play the same style, and they're just so confident they can do it. In fact, sometimes they're a little bit too overconfident, and they'll almost kill the clock themselves with their back passes and regrouping when really they should be going to the net to try to score.
The more contact, there's a mugging going on behind the play here. Maslennikov and Yuri Halinka got mixed up. And I think Maslenikov's going back to the penalty box. He put a pretty good bear hug on Yuri Halinka.
Well, these teams have been chippy in the first period, and in the second period, they have shown signs of it as well, and this is a pretty good sign right here. You'd like to breathe at some point in time in the game. At least the Soviet player feels that way.
That's interesting to watch these guys do this, you don't see a lot of this, but when these two teams play, you do see it, and I'm sure for a lot of North American fans watching the game today, they're maybe a little surprised at times how aggressive these two teams play against each other.
Seems to be some players, I should say, David, on this Soviet team that are trying to get back in the good books of Tikhonov. Borshevsky's one. He's been sent down to the first division and seems to really have a lot of fire under him right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of players here that I think that are on the verge of being national team players if they can get themselves going in a competition like this. Their report cards will go back to the Federation, and they'll find out how they did, and I'm sure that we're going to see some of these players playing for the national team in the future. The guy who got the penalty there, number 12, Maslennikov, he centered the KLM line at his vest. Larinov was out, and he was the center for Krutov and Makarov, and he played very well.
Although he's one of the older guys.
Yes, he's not a young player.
He's 28 years old. He may be less likely to get to the national team than some of the others.
That's right. He's got an age kind of a factor to worry about.
Here's the Czechs on the power play. The shot, they score. Tipped in front. Roman Maislik tipped it, and the Czechs have gone to within 3. Maybe this will fire them up, and they'll bring everybody off the bench to congratulate Maislik.
Well, there's the hit in the corner, and that's what started it all. It ends up with Maislik to the right. It was a 2-on-1, and you could see how far Chervykov came out. He was right out of his crease, and he shows his disappointment right there when he turned back and saw that Maislik was left all alone in front of the net.
Well, I hope that goal can get the Czechs, going a little bit here and get them fired up, because they've had some chances. They probably, the last 6 or 7 minutes, Gary, they probably carried the play.
7.5 minutes to go in the second period, and it's now 6-3 with 6-2 for the Soviets after the first, and now it's 6-3. There's Sergei Svetlov over the line with Borchevsky and Semak. Volchek and Kamies get the assists on Maesleek's goal at 12:20. That's the Czechs' third goal of the afternoon.
It's interesting, Jim, to watch the Soviets now. Their neutral zone defense is almost just the 1-4 checker, and they're laying 4 people back on the line and really trying to control that neutral zone. That's another part of the game I think they've gained from us, is that they read the score a little better at times now, Jim, and where before they might play a continual 2-1-2, now they're kind of laying back in a 1-4, trying just to hold the line and clog that neutral zone, and very much a North American tactic in terms of protecting a lead.
A little more coaching, a little more strategy involved in it, because it always has seemed that they just refuse to vary from the scheme of things at the start of the game. They get those units, those 4 units, one after another, and unwaveringly.
I'm not sure what Gary thinks, but I hope they never get too smart with their bench tactics. I can't imagine playing against Makarov, Larionov, and Krusov every second shift. I mean, we're just glad every 4th shift they're going to come out, not every second shift.
Czechs are stopped at the blue line again. Here's a 2-on-1. Malgin, Kvartalnov. And he had the puck hop over his stick as the Soviets had a great chance to get their 7th. Richard Zemlichka. Pavel Gross took a shot. It was way wide of the net. Reznicek. Small, tough defenseman moves up, keeps the puck in. Sudek from the point. Dumps it in behind the net. Yuri Halinka can't handle the pass. And the Soviets get the puck out to center. They're 2-on-1 once again. Kvartalnov with Vostrakov breaking for the net. The pass, they score! A beautiful goal. Vostrakov finishes it off, and the Soviets lead 7-3.
You just can't give up those numerical advantages. The Soviets are famous for their ability to capitalize. They get it by the pinch right here, and there's your 2-on-1. And you can see the advantage to the off-winger. He holds the puck out in a shooting position, which holds the goalie, and then he throws it across. It's an open net.
Well, Dave, you know what it's all about. When the Czechs have been down as they have and trying to get back into this game, then of course they've got to start gambling. They pinched, and as Dave mentioned to you, it created a 2-on-1 situation. And you had predicted before your game against the Soviets the other night that if you did have to open up, it could be scary, and it was.
Yeah, the Soviets are the wrong team to get behind the scoring, because if you have to open up against them, they eventually will find a way to capitalize on your mistakes. And right there is a classic example, as you mentioned. They got to buy the pinch, and they're right out there, and they got 2-on-1, and they scored.
Vostrakov from Kvartalnov at 14:02. There's a shot by Kamies, and he blasted one just wide from 10 feet out. Nikitin drew the second assist, the defenseman that moved the puck up. On the goal by Vostrakov. Puck is sent down the ice by the Soviets. Volchek is back to collect it. 7-3, the Soviet Union leads in this final game of the Saskatchewan Cup as Maesleek rushes in after the puck. Makes a nice play to get control, drops the puck off for Kamies. Kamies, stick handling into the middle, a backhand shot up the stick of Yerobek, went wide of the net.
Jim, they're just fine players offensively. These guys have got tremendous skill. I mean, it's the young person, the young hockey players watching the game today, they're just all kinds of examples of very unique one-on-one moves that are so effective, and that's a part of the game that we really want to see younger players work on, is their one-on-one, their offensive ability to beat a defender one-on-one.
How do you develop that? More practice time?
Yeah, lots of practice time, and you got to really, I think, coaches with the kids have got to encourage them to show some initiative, show some imagination, and not stereotype themselves, Jim.
Goaltender thought that was in for a second. Had to backtrack a little, but it didn't quite make it by the goaltender, Aldrich Svoboda. 4:14 to play in the second period. Fedotov.
One of the interesting parts about their attack, Jim, is that when we cross the blue line, we're always going to the net. They'll often take that puck and they'll turn it up, and so the puck is actually going away from the net as other people are going towards the net, and it really makes your defensive play a lot more difficult because the guy turns the puck up and kind of delays and goes up towards the blue line, yet the real threat is going down towards the net on the backside. And awareness away from the puck is the toughest skill for a young player to learn playing against these players.
Soviets are back to collect the puck in their own zone with 3.5 minutes to go in the second period. A 7-3 lead for the Soviets. Borchevsky to Svetlov. He's in all alone. Svetlov has his second of the afternoon. The Soviets are up to 8.
Dave, Jim and I commented in the early part of the first period, right off the bat, that Svetlov just seems to be able to make it look so easy. Almost as though he can go out and do it whenever he wants. And boy, when he comes off of the blue line right here, great pass right up the middle to Svetlov, who got in behind the defense.
He's amazing. He's amazing. Svetlov is the best player on the Moscow Dynamo team in terms of their forwards, and he's a great skater, and he really comes from behind the puck area, and he hits that little seam with lots of speed, and you can't recover.
Another reason it looked easy was the Czechs got mixed up on a change and only had 4 players on the ice, so their bench wasn't very happy about that goal.
Guess not. Tough enough playing these guys with 5. Svetlov gets his 2nd of the afternoon, his 5th of this tournament. He has been the best player on the ice in this tournament. Welcome back to Saskatchewan Place. Dave King, the general manager and coach of Team Canada, has joined us in the broadcast booth in the 2nd period as A.Basalgin takes a shot.
Jim, as I watch this game unfold, I feel better about our team because, you know, they can undress a pretty good team right here of Czech players that play international hockey all year and should be able to play more effectively, and yet they make them look rather ordinary at times.
As I watch them look awesome on this surface, I think about this team playing on the big surface, and then, well, you're in so much more trouble when you have that extra ice surface to cover against great skaters.
You really are, Jim, because on the bigger surface, too, you get faced with more one-on-one play, where it's you and somebody in a larger space, and if you don't do your job, and you break down and he beats you one-on-one, things can really happen.
Вострикov with a centering pass, but it was up around the chest of Kvartalnov, and the Czechs come back. Radek Schultz stuffed the puck in. Quickly, the Soviets with a long pass and a forward coming back to make sure it was onside at center, move up the ice.
Jim, if you watch too, a lot of times they use the full ice surface so well, almost from red line to the icing line and full width, and they really spread out your defense in terms of all your people on the ice. You get, ideally on defense, you want to keep it compact, so you can put some pressure on it. You got some support behind the pressure. If they spread you out and they force those, they want those one-on-one confrontations because they're going to win most of those.
Yuri Letal to his brother Yaroslav, defenseman, the Czechoslovakian Olympic team. Here's Robert Krohn with a backhand shot that went wide of the net. He had Ye.Repyshyn all over him and couldn't get the shot that he wanted to away. 1:25 left in the 2nd period. Soviet Union's Olympic team leads by 5. The Soviets stand up across the blue line and force the Czechs to regroup at center, and they dumped it in, but this time they want to change on the fly. Maybe that's why they did it. Ye.Repyshyn to Osipov, breaking for the net. He's stopped by Oldrich Svoboda. Pass out in front of Osipov, put it wide, and then got a stick up around the ears. Helinka to Zemlichka. He gave it away to Shiryaev. The centering pass is poked away from the front of the net with 40 seconds to play in period number 2. Here are the Czechs 3-on-1 now. And Chervikov makes the save on Pavel Gross, who elected to go straight for the net on the 3-on-1 with 29 seconds left in the 2nd period.
Well, Chervikov opened up his legs, and I think at that point in time, right here, you see, there's the 5-hole. And Gross went for it, and I thought he had it.
Exactly, Gary. That's a good comment. He really did open his legs, and he was that's where he was shooting for, the 5-hole. I think it almost got through.
Really an unorthodox-looking goaltender.
I think he's awful. I mean, this guy's going to be a coach's killer here.
Here comes Pavlov with a shot, and he scores. Igor Pavlov with a long shot. And none of the goaltending has been spectacular here today, and that one went by Oldrich Svoboda to make the score 9-3.
He shoots the puck in stride here, too, pretty well. He gets it away off the wrong foot pretty well, pretty quickly, and they're excellent at that, Gary.
Well, when Pavlov went in, though, he had lots of help because the Czech defenders had really went with the flow. They were totally overbalancing that left board side, and as a result, it just opened up that left side for the Czechs. And Pavlov, or I should say for the Soviets, and definitely. Pavlov took advantage of it.
I'm surprised, Gary, that the Czechs that play these guys so much, and they play the same style of hockey, would be focusing so much on the puck here. And you know that the Soviets really changed the point of the attack very quickly and used the full ice surface. You just cannot be spectating on the puck only. You got to be active away from the puck. And today, they've just been awful in terms of their ice alignment. They got 3 or 4 guys in a small area. One side of the ice is wide open. It's amazing.
Well, all that remains to be seen, I think, is how high the Soviets can run it against this team. They're up to 9-3. The second period's come to an end. Dave King, we'd like to thank you very much for all of your help through this week. You've been very cooperative and for coming up here today, too.
Thank you very much, Jim.
Dave King, the coach and general manager of Team Canada, has been our guest. Jim Van Horn will be back to look after our second intermission when we return.
However, what you will see in this period is you will see some excellent puck work by the Soviets and also their abilities to defend.
You're also seeing their big line again right at the start.
Yep. Borchevsky, Svetlov, and Semak are out on the ice with the tandem of Popichin and Michalchik, the defensemen that always play with this line. But great skaters.
Great turnbacks and turnarounds.
Michalchik back to collect the puck. There's the long pass all the way up to center, and Borchevsky takes it. Hooked at the line, but he manages to hang on. Now he's lost the puck, and Reznicek takes over. His pass up the middle, and Pavel Gross couldn't handle it. Karol Sudek to Reznicek. Pavel Gross lost it, spinning and shooting. There's Kvartalnov.
He couldn't believe he got the puck, that's why.
He spun himself into the ice. Here he's going to get the puck, and he'll be on a breakaway. Knocks it down, shoots it in. What a great get on the pass. He knocked the puck down, made it sit down, and then put it upstairs, and a beauty of a goal to make it 10-3 Soviets.
He was really lazy coming back. Then all of a sudden he found himself in the clear, and look at the shot right in the top corner, just a snapshot.
You can hear that one ring from way up here.
Now watch him knock it down.
Watch it. Just great puck control. But really, when you take a look at it from that angle, Svoboda really did give up an awful lot of room on that glove side.
Coaches hate to see laziness pay off.
So you wouldn't be over there saying, nice goal? Kovalev took a shot. Kvartalnov from Nikitin is the scoring play, for those of you scoring along with us at home. That was the 10th Soviet goal. Was the time of the goal. Kvartalnov has his second of the game. Shiryaev is number 5 on the Soviet defense. He tries the long pass, and it didn't quite connect to Osipov. Svoboda's out to play it, gave it away. Yeryomin at the side of the net, they score. Kovalev tipped it in from Yeryomin. Svoboda came out of the net, made the mistake, he gave it away, and it's 11-3 for the Soviets.
Well, this is really going to be embarrassing for the Czechs. You see, that Svoboda tried to play the puck. Not very good. Here's a 2-on-1. Well, it was a 2-on-1 because the other Czech defenseman was standing behind the goal line over to the right of Svoboda. At least he could have gotten in and played net at the time.
Maybe they should have a goal rule in this tournament.
Straight time if it gets to be an embarrassing score, as it is right now, 11-3 for the Soviets.
The Czechs have just packed it in.
Well, all that's left to watch are some of the Soviet turnbacks and their great passing plays. And you're right, the Czechs do have packed it in. Dave King had it right on the hit the head, right in the nail. I mean, the nail right on the head.
And I was just going to say, Roger, not only can you watch the great plays, but don't turn away because of some of your comments that will be interesting. We know, and really, I mean, when you watch the play out here, they can go as fast in one speed as they can the other. Forward, reverse, doesn't matter.
Yuri Halinka, number 15. In the middle, Temlichka's shot is up and over the net, and the puck bounced back to Červякov, and he holds on to stop the play. 17:04 to play in period number 3. It's 11-3 for the Soviets. We'll be back in a flash.
Well, we talked about the great skills of the Soviets. Watch this pass play and watch Popihkin. He's going, first of all, sideways, then he turns, and as quickly as he turned and going backwards at the same speed, he was then in motion going forward. Their speed doesn't change, regardless of the direction they're going.
Nikitin is number 24. Up to A.Malygin. Checked by Pavel Gross. Sudak to Reznicek. Pavel Gross to Halinka. And the play is offside with 16:39 to play in the third period.
Jim, in the intermission, we were talking to Dave King about why the Soviet players really don't even think about defecting, and he felt it was because at an early age, they really feel so secure at being an athlete. They know they're going to have an apartment, probably a car, they're going to be taken care of, and yet when they come over here and walk into a shopping mall, it all seems so intimidating to them.
They certainly never look like they're happy when they're over here. You don't see them smiling and giggling and having much fun.
We talked about Friday night, how they look tattered, they don't have great clothing, and they have no money in their pocket whatsoever. Not even enough money to buy themselves a coffee at an airport.
That really is odd. I suppose, will they get any money if they win this tournament? You think they'll give them any money?
Yeah, apparently they're going to get $150 or $200 each if they win.
So had they lost it, they'd go home with nothing. But there's a great black market trade going on. These guys are selling sweaters. You can get a Soviet sweater for about $150 today. It was $50 a couple of years ago at the Calgary Cup, but inflation has hit the black market here as well. You can get a set of Soviet pins that they're selling at the souvenir stand for $40 for $25 if you buy it off one of the players.
Well, I think that the officials know that they do that. It's just sort of part of the game when you come over here, I guess. Surprising they don't have any money at all. It's no wonder they're up for shoplifting every other day.
Not here, Raj.
That's right. We haven't heard that here yet.
There's a penalty coming up. Maeslik was hooked, and he actually tried to kick the puck into the net, it seemed, against Červякov, and the Soviets will be penalized on the play as Maeslik was hooked going for the goal.
I was going to say, maybe one of the better Czech opportunities to score, except it was with Maeslik's skate that he deflected that puck.
I.Monaenkov gets the penalty. 4:07 is the time.
Let's go back and take a look at it, folks, and watch in front of the net, watch Červякov. But yet, watch Maeslik coming right up, deflects that puck beautifully with his skate. Of course, he had no stick at the time. It was pulled away from him, and that's where the hooking penalty occurred.
I.Monaenkov gets the penalty.
Funny they leave the boards open here. You can see in your picture that they get a free face-off over to this guy every time.
Yeah, and they win the draw in exactly that fashion.
Both teams do that.
Good battle in front here now. Yuri Lakal to Yerevek. They tried to pass it into the middle. It was poked away by the Soviet defense. Q-Titov took the shot. The Soviets short-handed, got the chance. Now back come the Czechs. Robert Krohn faked the shot. And then couldn't get the puck over to Thomas Kapusta. There's an offside call with 15:12 to go in the third period. 1:19 to play. 1:19 to go in the penalty.
Roger, you're talking about the face-off positioning as you take a look at number 18 for the Czechs, Kapusta. I think when these guys line up is that they're always so conscious of getting a scoring opportunity from the best position and from a slot position or from a better angle position. And really the boards are so useless to them. So offensively, when they don't line up with anyone along the boards, of course the opposition doesn't have to line up defensively either against them. They don't like to shoot from bad angles normally.
Maslennikov lost the puck in the neutral zone. But the Czechs can't take over. Zemlichka couldn't come up with it. Maslennikov does. Turns, makes a nice pass to Pavlov, and he heads for the corner. Pavlov checked by Karol Sudek, and Richard Zemlichka comes up with a puck. Pavel Gross to Zemlichka. Gave it away. Maslennikov moves up with Pavlov. 30 seconds left in the penalty against the Soviets' Ye.Omen. Fedotov was checked. Now the Czechs come back 3-on-1. Pelinka with Gross going for the net. Holds up. Zemlichka went down and was checked from behind, and the Czechs mess up a 3-on-1. Pavlov sandwiched by the Czechoslovakian defense. Schultz and Volchek were the checkers. 10 seconds left in the Soviet penalty. Radak Kemp. Ladislav Kamis, number 20.
Boy, the Czechs ever backing off. They're afraid to even go in the corners or have possession of the puck in the slot. They're scared out there.
Penalty's over. The Soviets are back at full strength and up 11-3. Score is scary, too. Roman Maisley run into the boards heavily by Michalchik. The puck's underneath them and play is stopped.
I'm really surprised. I mean, we've talked about their fragile attitude when they have been in a position in the past when they're down, but they're really down in this game, and they are just pulling the chute, as the old North American phrase would say. Watch Zemlichka. When he ends up coming into your screen, he gets possession of the puck. Watch. He wants no position that is going to put him into a spot where he's going to get run over. I mean, he just ducks. He kind of pulled out of that opportunity to shoot the puck because he knew he could get run over at the same time. And I don't think Ivan Halinka is at all happy with his squad.
They're saving themselves for Rosetown tomorrow night.
I guess that's it. The Czechs and the Canadians play in Rosetown, Saskatchewan. Started a barnstorming tour for Team Canada. The Canadian team will then play the Soviets in Swift Current Tuesday, Regina Wednesday, Dauphin, Manitoba Friday, and Yorkton, Saskatchewan on Saturday. And I dare say all of those games will be a lot closer than this one. Nice save by Ulrich Svoboda on Kvartalnov, looking for the hat trick, number 18 in front of the net. Vostrakov to Malgin, back in front, knocked down out of the air by Vostrakov, and he took a backhand shot. This is like a scrimmage now. Nobody's touching anybody. They're just passing it around. The Soviets trying to get a few more points. They know they've got the trophy.
Oh! Well, the Soviets decided they'd all of a sudden try to land a pretty good body check.
Malgin is flying through the air.
Oh, another one.
That's Malgin again. They'll be chanting Albert here pretty soon, the way he's playing.
Now he took his man down in front of the net as well.
No, now he gets tripped in front of the net by Pavel Gross. There's the shot on Červякov, and Malgin's going after Gross. Pavel Gross with a little retaliation on Albert. And Malgin goes after his man. We'll be back in Saskatoon after this short pause. 11-3 is the score. The Soviets lead in the final of the Saskatchewan Cup over the Czechoslovakian Olympic team. It's a stick swinging. Yikes. The shot from the point. The Czechs score. May have been tipped in front by Kemp after Radek Schultz took the shot from the point.
Well, it was a good low shot from the point by Schultz. Now watch as it goes back. Here's a little backhand pass. Schultz just winds up, keeps it along the ice. And I think you're right, Jim. It was deflected.
the side of the net. Should get credit for that goal, his second.
And you can see Kemp all alone in front of the net as well.
8:40 the time of the goal. And it's 11-4. Soviets leading. More ice sticking in the corner. The gloves get up in the faces and the sticks there with them. Both teams making changes on the fly here. Almost halfway through the third period. Zemlichka knocked down at center, and back comes the Soviets. Q.Titov into the middle for Pavlov. He's checked Maslennikov in front of the net, taking a hacking on the back of the ankles as the puck goes wide of the net.
Seems to be a major difference in body strength here. The Soviets seem to be strong on the puck. Now, that's either because of their desire, and the Czechs do very little of it today, or else they are physically a stronger hockey club than these Czechs.
Here's Maslennikov all alone in front, and he took a weak shot that Svoboda stopped. It's almost like he decided not to score anymore.
Well, meanwhile, the Czech defenseman Reznicek was just going for a circle. I mean, all he had to do was take his man physically, and instead he had gone for the circle, spun off of him, and left the Soviet player with complete possession of the puck in a scoring position.
Do the Soviets have the heart and desire that Tarasov said was missing? He felt that they could match the Canadians in every area except heart and desire, and he didn't know why. And I wonder if they're ever going to get it.
Svetlov, Semak, and Borshevsky back on the ice, but Roman Mazlik has the puck for Czechoslovakia, fires a shot that's blocked at the defense by the defenseman Oleg Mikulchuk. Evgeny Popikhin up the middle for Svetlov. He can't quite handle the pass. Kamies plays the puck back to the defenseman Volchek. On the other side to Schultz and up the middle. 9:10 to play in the third period. The Soviets lead 11-4. The Czechoslovakian player down on the ice, hurt on the play. It's Roman Mazlik now making his way over to the bench. And the referee, Darren Lawrence, doesn't want to stop this game for anything. Now let's get it over with as Mazlik gets for the bench. I think he may have got a stick in the face.
I think right in the jaw by the way that he was holding his chin as he went to the bench.
8.5 minutes to go. Robert Krohn back in the point. Yaroslav Latau to Yuri Latau. Borshevsky stopped the puck at the blue line.
Yuri Latau's a pretty good player. He's played half the game, double shifted, and he's a pretty good defenseman.
The younger of the two at 21 years old. He wears number 4 and is on the left point right now. There's a centering pass, and Chermakov made a save off of Kapusta. Yuri Latau breaking in, takes the shot, and Chermakov stopped him. Now the Czechs put some pressure on. Thomas Kapusta to Yuri Latau. Draws the checkers over, makes the pass in. Kapusta. Poke check by Albert Malgin. And up the middle for Vostrikov. Crisscrossing at the line, the drop pass, and then a little back flip. Didn't quite get over to Malgin. Pavel Gross is checked. Nikitin, number 24 for the Soviets. 7.5 minutes to go. The attendance today is 3,339, the smallest crowd of the tournament so far for the final. But it'll bring the total attendance for the tournament up to almost 20,000.
Well, the last 5 minutes, a snail wouldn't look out of place out there.
All the play's been in the neutral ice. Neither team moving too quickly in those particular areas.
There's a penalty coming up against the Soviets. 6:39 is the time remaining, and V'Shiryev's going to the penalty box. We'll be back with the Czechoslovakian power play. Goes to the penalty box for tripping at 13:21 to give the Czechs a power play.
Well, he held up his arm after he had, in fact, taken the penalty, and not much question about it, but he was referring to the fact that it wasn't on purpose, and I don't think it was either. The Czech player was tripped. I think the stick was out there, and the Czech player found it was appropriate to dive over it.
Soviets practice some puck control while shorthanded as they move the puck down the ice. Kamis now, the captain of the Czechs, starts up the ice. A collision at the blue line, and E.Monaenkov went down in front. Maislik went for the front of the net. He had the goaltender down, and he missed the net. Červякov is like a beached whale as Schultz takes the shot. Schultz again, his shot is blocked. It's a good thing the defense are blocking shots here, because I don't have much confidence in the goaltender's ability to stop any of them.
I think, you know, Dave King might have been right that they put him in there just to force their hockey club to play better in front, when you think of it.
It's like saying to the Czechs, see, we can beat you even with this guy. That one hit Červякov.
That's the play that Canada was using against the Soviets. Cross pass.
45 seconds left of the penalty, a giveaway, and Borchevsky is able to shoot the puck down the ice for the Soviets. 5:22 left in the third period. The Soviets lead 11-4 in the final of the inaugural Saskatchewan Cup. Kapusta was poke checked in over the blue line. Yaroslav Letal waits for his mates to get onside, then dumps the puck in. Robert Cohn went after it, but Popykin knocked the puck away from him. Yuri Letal with a weak shot. Popykin is there, finds a hole, and clears the puck to center with 15 seconds left in the penalty against V'Shiryaев. Soviets dump the puck down the ice again. That'll do it for the penalty. 5 seconds to go in it. V'Shiryaев up and getting set to come back on the ice. The penalty's over. Yuri Letal with a drop pass. Another drop to Zemlichka. His backhand shot didn't get through to the goal. At the side of the net, Červякov dives out, pounces on the puck with 4.5 minutes to go.
You know, we talk about this guy, Červякov, and remember in Canada's game Friday, I mean, he wasn't playing. He was on the bench. For saying the Soviets don't have much emotion, he was smiling away at the cameras, and he was bubbly on the bench. He was just having a great time. Even out there in the warm-up, he wasn't warming up.
He was happy he didn't have to play.
Probably. He looks like a good time Charlie.
Too bad he can't stop them.
He's a good time Alexei, Greener. Josef Reznicek. Pavel Gross with a back pass that didn't get to its intended receiver. Kvartalnov to Albert Malgin. His drop pass. S.Востриков almost got it back in front, and Malgin was there all alone. Malgin's sort of like a North American Soviet. He's played tough all afternoon. He's given guys shots. Really, it's like he likes that kind of game, a chippy game. He's 30, Albert Malgin. Kvartalnov couldn't get the return pass from Nikitin. 3.5 minutes to go.
You know, with Malgin, though, he's very lazy defensively. Well, I mean, he is a goal scorer, and that's what his statistics back in the Soviet Union Division I show. However, all of a sudden, when there's a turnover in play, he's not too eager to get back and help out. But he does like the aggressiveness.
is up and out of play with 3:01 left. I'd like to take it this time an opportunity to, on behalf of Hockey Canada, say a couple of words of thanks to some people. Hockey Canada has asked us to pass along their thanks to the people of Labatt's and Esso for sponsoring this event, along with the Saskatchewan Lottery Association for its support of the first Saskatchewan Cup. And our thanks to Dave King and his staff. If everyone at all of the buildings that we worked in were as cooperative as the people around Team Canada have been this week, our job would be tremendously easy. To the blue line, he was checked. Ladislav Kamis. Roman Maisley. 2:25 to go as the Czechs dump the puck in. You know who else has been extremely cooperative, and this is sort of strange in an international tournament. The coach of the Czechs, Ivan Halinka, helped that he was then over here playing in the NHL, and Roger was his coach. But usually when you ask one of these teams from the Czechoslovakia or the Soviet Union anything about their team, they won't tell you anything, and if they do, you can't be sure that they're telling you the truth, even about the numbers their team will be wearing. But Ivan's been willing to tell us anything.
Well, ČSSR was having problems with that shot.
1:40 left in this championship final as this building clears out into the cold Saskatchewan air. Up to a balmy minus 35 today.
The sun was out, though. And it is a dry cold.
It's wonderful, yeah. It's so cold today you could see it. Q-Tip stood up and knocked down by Reznicek. A little retaliation there. And Thomas Kapustas had it up. As suddenly there's a little more emotion on this shift and some shots traded. Last minute of play in the Saskatchewan Cup final. Richard Zemlichka tries to split the defense, can't get through. Semak gave it away. Karol Sudek's shot went wide. Pavlov fell down, but he got the puck to Titov. 30 seconds to go. Evgeny Popihkin goes in front and scores. And the Soviets make it an even dozen. Good play by Popihkin. He can skate.
A dirty dozen as far as the Czechs are concerned. Popihkin, who has been very impressive in this tournament, has shown great speed. Offensively, he just turns, goes with it. And you can see his move as he cuts to the net. And Svoboda had gone down long before Popihkin even thought about what he was going to do with the puck.
1934 is the time of the goal that adds insult to injury. Evgeny Popihkin has the goal. They count down the seconds here with 3 to go, and the Soviet Union Olympic team has won the inaugural Saskatchewan Cup with a resounding 12-4 victory over the Czechoslovakian Olympics. Was really put away in the first period. It was 6-2 for the Soviets. They got up 3-1 before the game was 8 minutes old, and were unheaded.
Well, ČSSR wasn't great in the nets. However, the players in front of them were. ČSSR did play with the Red Army team last year, and in place of Belshevik.